All right, well, good evening and welcome everybody to tonight's event, which, as you know, is going to focus on current federal actions and their impact on the LGBTQIA individuals here in Washington. My name is Karen Hannon, and I am the director of ArtsWA, the Washington State Arts Commission, and I'm offering a welcome on behalf of all of our staff and our commissioners, and of course on myself. We are deeply honored to partner with the Washington State LGBTQ Commission to present this discussion. And the Commission's commitment to fostering a truly inclusive and just state, it really is an inspiration, and we are honored to stand with them. We believe the insights shared tonight will be crucial, and so we're grateful for your time and engagement as together we explore how our state can remain proactive and a safe place for everyone. So thanks for joining us. And now over to Michael Wallenfels from ArtsWA for a little housekeeping before we get going.
Brian. Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Wallenfels, he, him. I'm the communications manager for the State Arts Commission, and I'm your tech guy for tonight. So if you're having any issues hearing or connecting, whatever it may be, just shoot me a message on Teams, and I'll also drop my email into chat. You can contact me there. We want to make sure you're able to participate and hear everything that's being shared tonight by the LGBTQ Commission. You should also be able to turn on captions through the controls at the bottom of your screen. If you don't see the CC Captions button, click on the three dots inside the circle and you should see the options for captions right there. And with that, I'm really honored to pass it off to Sam and Sawyer. You're in good hands and we're here to assist, but from here on out, they are your showrunners. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So excited to be here with you all tonight. My name is Sam Fennell. My pronouns are he, him, and I am the Operations and Policy Manager at the Commission, at the Washington State LGBTQ Commission. And I'll pass it over to Sawyer to introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Sawyer Tuttle. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm the Executive Assistant and Communications Coordinator for the Washington State LGBTQ Commission. Really glad y'all took some time out of your evening tonight to hear from us about some of the issues that we've got going on. I just wanted to make sure, can everyone see the presentation screen? Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I clicked the right one. Thank you.
Perfect. So tonight we're going to go over a little bit about what you can expect from today's presentation. So a little bit of an overview is, what is the LGBTQ Commission? What's happening to the 2SLGBTQ community right now? What are we doing about it? What can you do about it? And how is Washington 2SLGBTQIA plus community still showing resilience? And we'll show some highlights from our statewide LGBTQ survey that closed this year. And so without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share the mission and the vision from the commission. That's how we wanted to start today's presentation. So our mission, which is through our statute, the Washington State LGBTQ Commission works to improve the state's interface with the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, two-spirit, and intersex community, identify the needs of its members, and ensuring that there is an effective means of advocating for LGBTQ equity in all aspects of state government. So that's included in our statute, and then our vision, which was created by our commissioners and voted in on by our commissioners. As public servants committed to advancing equity and fostering liberation for all 2SLGBTQIA plus people, we embrace humility, compassion, diversity, collaboration, respect, and joy in our work. We pledge to honor public involvement, community accessibility, and to listen and proactively center the needs of the most marginalized members of our community. And then a little bit of background on the commission. So we are an advisory board of 15 2SLGBTQIA plus commissioners and 12 youth advisory council members across Washington State. We're really proud of the regional diversity we've been able to achieve on our council and our commission. We also are 3 full-time staff. So Sam, myself, and Lisa, our director, who was unable to join tonight, but sends her best wishes to all of you. We are the hardworking team here at the commission. So we are pretty small but mighty. Our commissioners and council members, it's important to note their time is voluntary. And so They are compensated through community stipends, but we really appreciate all the work they do. And just a little bit about what we do. So our main purpose is to advise the governor, state agencies, and the legislature on issues that impact 2SLGBTQIA plus people. We also track and analyze state and federal policy impacting our community, and we act as kind of the conduit between our community and state government and vice versa. We were established in 2019 after years of grassroots advocacy. There are several other community commissions. You might have heard of the Commission on Hispanic Affairs, the Commission on African American Affairs, Asian Pacific American Affairs. We were one of the late additions to the commissions group, but we're really thankful that they've really welcomed us with open arms, and we do a lot of collaboration with our sister commissions. We have legislative advisors from both the House and the Senate, and we also have an assigned policy advisor through the governor's office that we work directly with. I'll pass it over to Sam.
So why do we track federal policy? I don't think it will be news to many that the recent executive orders and actions taken by President Trump's administration have had a direct impact here in Washington. Here are some of the reasons we feel it's important for us as a state commission to pay attention to and engage with these issues. Federal actions targeting 2S LGBTQ plus people can have an impact in Washington despite state protections. Funding, data access, and legal protections are often tied to federal decisions, and Washington state must stay proactive to remain a safe place for 2S LGBTQ plus people and act to protect against hostile federal shifts. So we'll move on to some of the actions the new administration has taken against our community. And we couldn't fit it all into a presentation, but here is a look at some of the big things.
Yeah, so kind of in the area of identity and legal recognition, erasure of trans and non-binary people across federal government agencies. The executive order titled Defending Women from Gender Ideology, Extremism, and Restoring Biological Truth to the Federal Government establishes that the only two genders acknowledged by the federal government are male and female. For our military individuals, they've banned transgender individuals from serving in the military. Now, I do want to just give a caveat while I'm mentioning some of these. Many of these are currently being challenged in court, but some of them are, currently in place while they're being challenged in court. Some of them are being paused while they're being challenged in court. So as you'll see, that's actually one of the challenges that we'll talk about today, is how the rapidly changing nature of the situation makes it difficult for us to give accurate information. Another way that individuals have been targeted is through preventing transgender and non-binary individuals from changing their gender designation on their IDs. This is, we've heard this directly from Washingtonians that have reached out to our office that have, experienced trouble with their passport. Currently, it has ruled that transgender and non-binary people can change their gender on their passport. And the ACLU Washington is encouraging caution around that, but also saying that if transgender and non-binary people wish to do that, now might be a good time, because that is a rapidly changing situation. So again, whenever you're watching this recording, know that that might be different. So next, around healthcare and education, I'll give it over to Sam.
So this is where we have seen some of our biggest actions and attacks in the policy areas of healthcare and education. 2S LGBTQ plus people have already faced more likely to face significant health disparities, and youth are some of the most targeted in our population. Gender affirming care bans have already been passed for youth in many states across the country. The new defense budget removes coverage for gender affirming care for youth and TRICARE, and proposed tax and spending bill passed by the U.S. House of Representatives also bans gender affirming care coverage for all ages in Medicare and Medicaid. We know federal grants and funding are dying up for organizations that provide critical support for 2S LGBTQ folks. And another cut that we have seen is the Trump administration has revoked funding for the 988 LGBTQ Youth Crisis Line Service. The new administration's interpretation of Title IX is not inclusive to 2LGBTQ youth. We have been fighting for decades for gender affirming protections for youth, and all those efforts are trying to be rolled back. This includes banning transgender girls from competing on girls' sports teams and encouraging schools to out transgender students to their parents who might not be accepting. Another area that we're seeing is not only are they completely disrupting our present, they're dismantling our past and trying to cut off our future. They have removed important data from federal agency websites. This includes important HIV and AIDS data, critical information on LGBTQ plus youth health disparities, and so much more. The National Stonewall Movement saw the T in LGBTQ removed from the monument, and LGBTQ references are being wiped across all federal websites. The rollback of diversity, equity, and inclusion protections across state agencies and institutions is intentional to limit the opportunities and visibility of 2SLGBTQIA and BIPOC people. Data for 2SLGBTQIA folks has always been limited, often collected at a federal and national level. The dismantling of this data is a direct erasure. 2SLGBTQ folks have long fought to be seen, and the lack of data collected has been used as a political tactic not to fund or support LGBTQ initiatives. So, what challenges and gaps given the federal landscape? And there's a lot. This creates legal gray zones around ongoing federal and state conflicts and lawsuits, making it very difficult to share accurate, timely information with the community. And as we mentioned, that's a big role of the commission, is to share accurate, timely information, but with these constantly changing landscapes and forming community is really difficult. There's deep community fear and confusion around losing protections that have long been fought for and to see get rolled back. Threats to funding, we're experiencing that as a state level. I'm sure we have all felt the impact for state programs, nonprofits around Washington providing critical support services for 2SLGBTQ folks have all been impacted. And then there's a lot of confusion around complying with new executive orders. What do we comply to? What do these mean? How do they interact with state laws? And who supersedes what have all been questions folks are asking us and seeking answers about.
Yeah, so here are some of the ways that community members are being impacted here in Washington. This is the densest slide I have for y'all today. I apologize for how much words are crammed onto this slide. Be glad this was as short as I could cut it down to. We could spend easily all day telling you about the ways that these executive orders are impacting our constituents, but here are some of the biggest ones. So with healthcare and suicide prevention, we are seeing clinics across the state backing out of youth gender affirming care and federal scrutiny despite Washington's laws to protect that care. So despite them being protected within our state, they are being influenced by federal policies to change their individual policies. Clinics relying on Medicaid dollars are going to face challenges and barriers to offering gender affirming care. And we've seen that the Trump administration has stopped offering the LGBTQ plus youth specific option in the 988 Lifeline, which was really unfortunate. We're really happy that in Washington, our 988 services have stepped up in this face of this ban, and DOH has shared information on how they are approaching 988 LGBTQ issues, and we encourage you to check out their website on their 988 page to learn more. For schools and student impact, we're seeing a lot of impacts here. For students in federally funded programs like Pell Grants have fewer rights under the new administration's Title IX reinterpretation. Teachers and students in Washington report confusion over whether they can support trans and LGBTQ students due to the national rhetoric that's happening. And federal grants for safe schools and mental health programs are at risk, especially if they support LGBTQ youth or even if they have LGBTQ or equity in the title of the grant or name of the program. In data and representation, we're seeing a loss of federal data on LGBTQ disparities, which weakens our ability to track outcomes and put prevention measures in place. It leaves Washington State as one of the few lighthouses for LGBTQ data and research in the country. We're seeing people experience a lot of administrative barriers and hurdles right now about denying passports, no longer allowing gender X marker changes on federal documents, and federal programs are resorting to binary-based sex rules, which impacts transgender eligibility for programs. Military families are being severely impacted by the transgender military ban, of course. And TRICARE, as we talked about earlier, there is a ban on gender affirming youth for TRICARE, which is really unfortunate and deeply affecting our military families right now. And then, as Sam talked about, the legal ambiguity. We have really strong laws here to protect the right to love who you love and to be who you are. But given the federal government, having a different idea of those things, it gives us it puts us in a really challenging place. State agencies are having to navigate conflicting state and federal values and compliance with federal funding rules while also upholding our state laws that protect 2SLGBTQ plus people. So yeah, that is it's what we're facing. So what are we doing about it?
Yeah, as Sawyer mentioned, what are we doing about it? And we asked the question earlier, why do we track these? It's so we can do something about it and so we can help inform our state on what we can do better. So monitoring federal policy changes and keeping the governor's federal policy, legislative advisors, and agency partners informed. We're consistently working within the groups to keep them updated on what we are learning, and more eyes on it, the better around those issues. Continuously publicly affirming 2SLGBTQI Washingtonians through statements, proclamations, and events. We do annual proclamations that we lead. You'll see one coming out in the fall for Trans Day of Remembrance. We'll also do one for Trans Day of Visibility. We'll also have our annual Pride flag raising every year over the Capitol, and continue to make statements around issues that are impacting our community, both federally and statewide. We guide agencies around policies impacting 2SLGBTQI Washingtonians, ensuring agency policies are reflective of Washington's values. So our commissioners are part of work groups, are part of other bodies to help ensure that LGBTQ voices are at the table and how to make our policies better and centering voices. And then we're also centering those most impacted in our community through listening sessions and public meetings. We host public meetings consistently, especially during this time. We've been hosting them with our community members to learn about what is happening and what we can do better. And then we also provide a lot of resources. And so I'll pass it over to Sawyer to talk about one of our really amazing new resources we have.
Yeah. So a new resource that we actually just launched last Friday is the Rainbow Resource Hub. This is a new resource that's being hosted on our website, lgbtq.wa.gov/Rainbow Resource Hub. You can also just navigate to the Rainbow Resource Hub tab if you go to our website. And you can find information on a ton of different topics, including Washington state inclusive laws and policies. You can get updates on recent federal executive orders and actions and news that we know about from the federal government. You can learn about how you can get involved and advocate and get civically engaged and show up for the 2SLGBTQIA plus community right now. We've also got tons of other resource hub topic areas that we would love for you to explore, and we have plenty more coming along, and there's a way to actually suggest resources as well. So if you have any resources that you don't see there, or if you'd like to suggest any, we would absolutely love to hear from you. So please feel free to check that out. And I think Sam might have dropped that in the chat. Appreciate that. And thank you so much. All right. So there is no way we could respond to these federal impacts alone. Over the past couple years, we have been working to increase our interagency collaboration. So right now you're seeing an example of a collaboration with Arts Washington, and we're so excited and thankful for their collaboration and just continued commitment to LGBTQ plus equity. and they're always supporting us, and we just really appreciate their work. But some of the other examples of agencies that we've worked with include the Department of Health. We helped them become aware of and helped them clear a backlog of 500 plus birth certificate gender designation changes. And I'm really happy to say that gender designation changes on your birth certificate are now being processed within 3 business days. It does take a little bit longer for you to get it mailed. They're being processed within 3 business days. So again, I encourage you to visit the Department of Health's website for more information on that. We've worked with the Department of Licensing to increase employee competency around X gender markers on licensing, and also just helping them be aware of the federal pressures around X gender markers right now. We hosted a podcast with the Office of, where we were a guest on the Insurance Commissioner's podcast, and we talked about access to gender affirming care and insurance issues, and that came out in June for Pride Month. So head over to OIC Answers to check out that podcast episode. With the Department of Corrections, we've been working on improving corrections for 2SLGBTQIA plus incarcerated individuals. With OSPI, our Office of Superintendent of Public Instructions, we've been working on maintaining protections for LGBTQ students and athletes, and working on developing inclusive curriculum that helps ensure that LGBTQIA plus stories and histories are being taught in our schools. And we're working with the Attorney General's office on advocating for clear guidance on rights to gender affirming care following all of these federal lawsuits. And also just, we've been really appreciative of their work and their tireless efforts to continue to go after efforts that target LGBTQI plus people. And I'll pass it over to Sam to talk about some other examples.
Yes, as mentioned earlier, we collaborate a lot with our fellow sibling commissions as well as the Office of Equity. So we have monthly meetings with Office of Equity, Commission on Hispanic Affairs, African American Affairs, Asian American Affairs, the Women's Commission, the Washington State Department of Veterans, the Governor's Office on Indian Affairs, and the Governor's Council on Disability and Employment to ensure intersectionality and accessibility and policies across state agencies. We also work really closely with the Office of Minority and Women-Owned Business Expertises. We actually just launched our LGBTQ small business certificate. So if that's something you're interested in learning more about on how to get your friends who are LGBTQ and own a small business, reach out to us. We would love to connect you all with that. We also work really closely with the Department of Financial Institutes on improving customer services, Department of Fish and Wildlife, more listening sessions to increase access to public lands and marginalized groups. And the Department of Ecology, we did a panel on allyship for employees. And so these are just a few examples of the collaboration across state agencies that we do and with other departments. That's a really big part of our role, is to ensure we are showing up in other organizations to help bring voices and light to the experiences of 2S LGBTQ folks in Washington State.
Yeah, so now a little bit on how your agency and state leaders can support. So if you're not with an agency, this is how you can support as an individual person, or you can advocate for your representatives and agencies to show up this way. So signal values around LGBTQ plus inclusion right now publicly through statements of support and providing competency training to all your employees, especially those who are public facing right now. And when you're considering adopting new policies or changing policies, consult with our commission or refer people to our commission to see how changes might impact the community. And also, we're going to be asking the community what they say. So if you have thoughts and feelings on policies and things that are being implemented, please reach out to the commission. That's a wonderful way to get involved, and we can definitely show up for you in that advocacy role. Report any issues to us that you have and concerns that you have around issues that impact our community. And if you have and know of any work groups or committees, task forces that would benefit from a commissioner's regular attendance, please let us know. We need your support and partnership right now. And we really want to make Washington feel like a state that everyone can belong, and that takes all of us. But please come to us if you feel like you have things that you'd like to share. I will pass it over to Sam.
we also have RAIN. Our RAIN is the Rainbow Alliance and Inclusion Network, and it's the LGBTQ plus business resource group for all Washington state employees. RAIN is sponsored by the LGBTQ Commission and the Office of Financial Management. So Lisa Keating is their advisor for it. And RAIN is committed to diversity and inclusion efforts that allow state employees to bring their full authentic selves to work in order to do their best work on behalf of Washingtonians. RAIN provides inclusive spaces for friends and family, networking opportunities, career building skills, opportunities to make change. Great guest speakers are always at their meetings. If you want to go and learn from some incredible people, it's always something you can look forward to. They also host events. They host the annual Pride flag raising with us, and you can see them in community involvement. They're at Olympia Pride this year. Membership to RAIN is open to any Washington state employee or employees of Washington state institutions of higher ed. And I'd encourage every agency leader to support the work of RAIN for their 2SLGBTQ staff.
Sorry, thought I was on mute. So I'm really happy to share some examples of resilience in the Washington state LGBTQ community. One, this is something that we've seen in our history, in our community's history, forever. You've always seen queer people rising up and meeting the moment and never backing down. And you're seeing that right here in Washington too. I think this is a little outdated. I think it's actually around 95 plus Pride festivals, Pride parades, festivals, or Pride flag raisings happened across Washington this Pride season. They're still ongoing. Here in Washington, we start celebrating Pride in May, and we don't stop until the end of August. So they're still ongoing. So if you have one around your area, you can check out the commission events calendar to find one near you. We've seen community solidarity and advocacy through rallies, protests, civic engagement campaigns. We're really seeing people step up and showing their representatives that they really want protections for LGBTQ plus people. 9 bills that were designated by the LGBTQ Commission as high priority legislation were signed into law this session, including protections for students and increasing access to prescription hormone therapy. So now I'm really excited to give you a glimpse at the reality of the community in our state through real numbers. I'm going to pass it over to Sam to share some of the findings from our statewide survey, which we are so proud of.
So excited to share these findings with you all. The entire report can be found on our website. It is an excellent report. It's 107, it's like 67 pages. So don't feel like you're going to read it in a night, but it does have a lot of great information. And the first thing I would love to share with you all is we had a total of 6,659 participants all across the state, which is amazing for a research study. We opened the study June 1st of 2024 and it closed January 31st of 2025. And what this map shows you is it shows you the how many folks from each region participated in the survey. This is excellent representation across the state. We're very excited about it, as well as this is the first ever statewide survey. And so I know living in Washington state, we have had politicians, we've had activists, we've had people say, well, LGBTQ folks don't live in my county, so why do I have to think about these things? And now we have the data and numbers to say, well, actually, you're not correct. We have the numbers. We had representation from every single county in our survey. We had a respondent, which is just really incredible and amazing for our community to show up in such a profound way to provide these responses for us. We'll move on to the next slide. So we asked the question of, to what extent do you feel connected to LGBTQ community in Washington? And overall, people felt either moderately connected or extremely connected. We had just about 30% of respondents say they didn't feel connected to community, slightly connected. And overall, those are really excellent numbers. A majority of our participants have places they can go, community they can outreach to, and we know the importance of community, especially during turbulent times. Which best describes how available LGBTQ resources are to you in Washington. This we even got even better results than community. So 35% of respondents said they feel like there is a ton of resources for folks, which is just awesome. We want to continue getting those resources out and continue to see those numbers increase for folks during this time, especially. So what policies have you benefited from or legal protections for LGBTQ people in the following contexts? And so as we can see, folks have really benefited from our medical care policies and protections, employment, insurance, marriage, really, I would say all of the big ones that a lot of legislation, policies, and have been high news around public accommodations, hate crimes. Folks are feeling like those policies are working and like they're benefiting from them, which is really important. And that's what we want to see, and are happy with how much folks feel like they have access to affirming medical care, especially during this time. So yeah. How is your experience changing your sex or gender on your driver's license while living in Washington state? Again, this is one where folks overall found it extremely easy. How is your experience changing your legal name while living in Washington state? This one's a little bit harder. Folks are a little bit more grouped in categories, but overall moderately easy to slightly easy we're seeing. And so we're seeing the effects of good comprehensive policies, making these processes easier and more accessible for folks. And then to what extent do you believe these state policies and legal protections have improved attitudes of the general public towards LGBTQ Washingtons? And we're seeing that folks believe that these policies and protections are also improving the overall attitudes of folks, which is also really important of informing the culture of Washington and how they get to show up in their state and live their lives. And those were just a snippet of our findings. Like we said, there is a ton of findings, so please feel free, go look at the report. If you have any questions about the report or anything you would like to see or would like us to come back and talk more about our survey findings, we would love to do that. And let's keep in touch. Here's all of our information, and we would love to stay in contact with you all. And again, thank you so much for your time tonight.
I'll leave this slide up just for a second in case anyone needs to capture any of that information. But our last slide just says thank you and offers up the chance for any questions if we have any time. Don't want to tread on anyone's toes, but really appreciate the time getting to present today. Thank you all so much.
Michael, I think we have some time for questions, and maybe I could kick it off. This is Karen from the Arts Commission. I'm curious whether the survey will drive any kind of legislative approach or budget requests, sort of going forward.
Yeah, great question. Absolutely. The entire intention of the survey was to be able to bring it legislatively. And so our survey team created some policy areas given the findings. And so that's a document we have been working off of, as well as part of our plan is to talk with policy and legislatures makers about what the findings were, what that means for legislation. And then I think, overall, especially given everything, the importance of continued surveying and continuing the state to invest into this in some sort of way, I think is also important, of just ensuring that we don't lose voices of LGBTQ folks, especially when it is happening on a federal level in the ways it is. And so we have already heard from other stakeholders and folks of Washington being a lighthouse to a lot of places around data because of what we'll see around data. And so I think data is also going to be something that's going to be really important to continue to collect and understand what is happening in Washington state. And this survey gives us a great baseline to compare all of that data to. other questions from folks? And feel free, we can read the chat too, if you would like to put them in the chat.
Yes, we absolutely welcome introverts. I count myself among them. Who would prefer to drop the question in chat. And also, their contact information is here, and if you'd rather follow up afterwards, that's fine too. We will be sharing out the recording and these slides with everybody who registered tonight. Any other questions from the room?
I just want to say also shout out if you want to follow us on our various social medias. I've got them down below. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky. We've also got some YouTube video. We also have a monthly newsletter. And actually, if you just head to our website, you should get a pop-up asking you if you want to subscribe. We'll have one coming out actually tomorrow. So you're just in time.
Maybe just one final comment from me. I think it perhaps goes without saying that the arts and the creative communities are very much standing with you and are very much part of you. We are all together in this. So I think you have a receptive audience here, and I do look forward to sharing, this presentation far and wide. Michael will take care of that for us, but I think it will be widely viewed, and hopefully your work as a result will be really amplified. Our collective work, I should say.
Thank you so much. We always appreciate the arts, and you all are so important and provide so much. And we're so grateful for the partnership and the collaboration, and just really grateful to you all for being here tonight and for the work you all do as well. So just thank you.
As a queer arts person myself, I'm very, very excited about our partnership and know that our communities definitely overlap and align, and just really happy to be in partnership with you.
You've said it better. Well, thank you all. If we don't have any further questions, we can let you go for the evening. And this recording will live on. And as Corin said, we'll be sharing it far and wide in our newsletter, on social, and look forward to other instances that our agencies can collaborate. Because as you said, our constituencies overlap in meaningful ways.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.